Hey everyone, my name is Tyler Oakley. Sunday morning when I woke up, I saw the news of what happened in Orlando.
We interrupt our program this morning because we have some breaking news to bring you out of downtown Orlando.
There's breaking news at this hour from Orlando.
Look at that, just shooting back.
A shooting at a downtown Orlando nightclub.
The FBI says they're putting every resource that they have.
Everyone get out of Pulse and keep running.
I have never been so thrown or so torn up or so deeply impacted by something as much as this. And I think about the people that were killed. It is so fucking unfair.
I remember where I was when I saw the news. On June 12th, a gunman killed 49 people in the Pulse Orlando nightclub and injured countless others. It was an attack on the LGBTQ+ community, with many of the victims being Latinx. My stomach dropped. My friend Raymond flew to Florida the day after the shooting happened last year, and so we decided to return to the city together to see where the community had settled 1 year later. We wanted to visit the center, the local Orlando LGBTQ+ safe haven, which acted as ground zero during the days after the shooting.
It was the safe place. It was the place that the community knew they could come to be around others who were feeling the same way they were, to get that hug or to say, what can I do to help? And we ended up in the first 4 days with 35,000 cases of water. We had cars lined up around the block about 3 times. We had volunteers get their donations out of their cars, lock them in, and as fast as we got them in, they went out the front door. Wow. And we got them down to the first responders, the hospitals, the blood banks.
I think that your story and what happened here demonstrates the importance of having a physical LGBTQ community center in every community.
When Pulse happened, there was no LGBT, there was no heterosexual, there was no Muslim, there was no Jewish, there was no Catholic. It became Orlando. Just Orlando.
So a place like the center obviously is so important, regardless of if a tragedy like Pulse happens.
Right.
What types of resources do you guys provide here that somebody can walk in and just expect to count on?
We're the largest HIV tester in the state of Florida. We're doing 500 tests a month here at the center. We do Hep C, we do STD, we have 16 community groups who meet here, transgender groups. And it's a place, if you're having a bad day, you can come in and get a damn hug. You know, we get people in all the time that just come in and they're having a bad day. You know, that's why we put counseling in 5 days a week. We just want them to know that this is the place that they can come in and it's warm. And you might be having that really bad day, which we all have, but we'll get you laughing by the time you leave. You know, we'll get you laughing and we'll get you fixed up.
When it comes to the tragedy at Pulse, it's important that we acknowledge what happened and what that tragedy was. It was a terrorist act, it was a mass shooting, but it was also the worst hate crime inflicted against the LGBTQ community in United States history. But also, Latin Night was especially important for local queer Latinx identifying folks who live and work in Orlando, who were still trying to find that safe space. And even a year later, the wounds are not healed. But even when the wounds heal, they have left serious scars. And this community will need support long after the 1 year mark, after Pulse, the 10-year mark. These scars will last a lifetime.
Pulse, like the center, was a sanctuary for young gay people. It was a place to watch drag queens perform, where you could make friends and meet boys, where you didn't have to explain yourself, and you could just feel alive and at home. What was the feeling the first time you went to Pulse?
You know, it was the first time being around so many gay people. So we're like, oh my God, I'm free. Like, what is this? So yeah, it was, it was a good time. It was a very happy time, yeah.
Can you take us through maybe that night?
That night, I barely danced. I conversed with everyone. I hugged everyone. I kissed everyone. I just, it was a nice, calm, chill night. And that's when the first shot happened. And people were falling around me. I grabbed the lady next to me. I grabbed her hand because she was screaming. I kept on telling her, it's gonna be okay. I all of a sudden hear footsteps coming in. And it's getting closer and closer, and I'm holding on to the lady next to me. And then he shoots the lady next to me. And then, there was a pause silence. I can feel his presence behind me. I knew he was there. And I kept praying, and then I stopped praying, and that's when I got shot over here a few times. And about 15, 20 minutes later was when the ambulance came to get me. And then from there on, it was kind of like a blur.
Mm-hmm. We're coming up now on the 1-year mark. How are your spirits? How are, not just how's your healing, but how are you?
I have my days. I'm always smiling, I'm always positive, but I do have my days, where I break down very randomly here and there with my mom. I don't want this to happen again.
Yeah.
I don't want another family to go through, what my family has gone through. It's hard for them to see me how I am now because I was very active. I used to jog twice a day, every day. I used to be on the go everywhere, here and there. Now I can't do any of that anymore. But, even though I break down, I always, keep my head up, smile, I show positivity. I try and, show as much love to the other survivors because it's hard on them as well. And, a big thing of this as well is forgiveness.
When I think about Pulse, one number always comes to mind: 49. But behind every number is a person. One of the stories that struck me the most was that of Christopher Drew Leininen. Drew was at Pulse with his boyfriend Juan and best friend Brandon the night of the shooting. While Brandon escaped and survived, Drew and Juan did not.
So Drew and I met, our first meeting was a date. And so we sat down at this place and, we'd known each other very little, through text message, right, like new generation is. Mm-hmm. And the very first question out of his mouth was, do you feel like our for-profit health insurance system takes advantage of patients or does right by them?
Oh, we would have been best friends.
This is like Raymond. That is how Raymond talks. I love that.
So I was honest with him and I told him my opinions, and so we went back and forth, and I think that was the basis of our friendship.
And when did you meet Juan?
It was Drew's birthday. This kid shows up with a gift for Drew. And so, of course, immediately I'm like, I don't like it. He said, why don't you like it? He has a gift. He's intruding, right? Being the unnecessary best friend.
Yeah.
But over time, it was impossible not to love Juan. So he wore me down, and after about a month, I'm like, okay, fine, he can be my best friend too. And we kind of became the three amigos and started traveling together and all of that.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about the night the Pulse happened.
Okay. So I had met someone. His name is Eric, and we're actually still together today. June 11th came, and Eric texted me at like 7 p.m. and said, I really want to go out. And we kind of debated back and forth about where we would go. We thought we would go to Parliament House, and we ended up changing our minds to Pulse. So we got to Pulse. It was really busy. I don't know that I had ever seen it that busy. And Eric was really awkward and not loving me. Mm-hmm. And, so we started to loosen up with drinks and chat with each other, and we went out to the patio, and Drew could sense the awkwardness because Eric and I are standing next to each other but not speaking.
Silence.
So he put his arms around me and Eric and said, what we never say enough to people is that we love them. So we're going to go around the circle, and we're going to say, I love you, and I'm going to start. And so we went around the circle, we did our I love yous, we gave a big hug, and then we went inside, and we finish the night by dancing. Eric and I said, hey, we got to use the bathroom. So we're going to go to the bathroom and then we'll call an Uber. You guys can wait here and then we'll just meet here once we're done. We went into the bathroom and that's the last time that I saw Drew.
But I want to go back to Orlando right now. Christine is joining us from Orlando right now. And Christine, I understand your son was in the club last night?
Well, they said there's a lot of dead bodies in the club. That's a crime scene.
When I got up at 3 in the morning and Brendan had posted on Facebook, there was a shooting at the club. I hope my friends got out okay. And I'm messaging him back, was Christopher with you? He said, yes. I said, well, where are you? 7-Eleven. So I run down there 4 o'clock in the morning on.
And Christine said, well, I'm going to go wait at the emergency room. Because I assume if he's going to be anywhere, that's where he'll be. And I think that's when she had her first emotional breakdown, just asking anybody to know anything. Can anybody tell me where my son is?
My level of hope that I could find Christopher and that he would be alive, that was my hope. I wasn't reaching out so that people would tell me that my son had died. I was reaching out and saying, please, if you know that he's somewhere, tell me. You know, and to tell a mom, yes, your son is in surgery. I'm gonna let you know he's in surgery. Because the hospital had over 24 people in surgery that were
still not ID'd or anything
not
like that.
identified.
Yeah.
At this point, Christine's plea for help had reached millions of people. So it wasn't as if people didn't know who she was or who her son was. And she's sitting in this place, and she had our friend Jose with her, and she's getting more and more agitated.
So they took me in a room, they threw everything, just like that, there was stuff on the table, they threw everything off the table, and I sat down, they sat down, 2 cops and me and Jose, and they're like, your son is dead. Just like that. Christopher should have been having just another 50 years or longer of being just happily ordinary, just being able to live his life as a happy gay man who was looking forward to getting married in the future, having kids in the future. It's clear since Christopher's horrific murder, it's clear that you can't just have a gay community and you can't just have straight allies. You have to be activists. There isn't any other way around it.
Drew was known in high school for starting the first Gay Straight Alliance in his school. So we got together, there's a group of 4 of us, and we said, well, why don't we make a nonprofit and we can help other people the same way he would be helping people. We actually have created a system. We partner with several LGBTQ organizations in Orlando, and we establish and sponsor Gay Straight Alliances in public schools to give kids a safe space to be.
It was, the Drew Project actually came from nothing else but love for Christopher, from love. So how could it fail?
You know, I think that's what I've taken away from Drew, is not only we don't tell each other that we love each other, we don't tell ourselves that we love ourselves enough. So I think the biggest thing that you can do to honor these 49 lives with action is to throw your long arms around somebody that's next to you and remind them that you love them.
The effects of June 12th are still palpable in Orlando, but I was surprised by how, a year later, it manifests in compassion and pride. Orlando was shaken by a tragedy, but they have grounded themselves in love. Seeing the tenacity of this community reminded me of the strength that you can find with those around you. Orlando exemplified queer resilience, and I decided to end my trip with a celebration of queer life, both open and unapologetic.
I don't know if I've ever met such a strong, resilient, unified, intersectional Thank you so much for watching this video. Obviously, it was really important and special to me, and I didn't even realize how powerful it would have been until I went to Orlando and I met these incredible people, maybe taking something away of inclusion and love and honoring these victims and not forgetting what happened at Pulse. And hopefully you take something away from this video. If you did, please share it, push the share button, and share it with somebody else in the community that you think might take something away from this too. Thank you so much to the people in Orlando who helped make this video possible. Also to the Human Rights Campaign for partnering with me on this video and helping me make action items for things that we can do as a community to help honor them with action. I'm gonna put all of those in the description below. It's a list of a few things that we can do and incorporate into our own lives to make sure that we don't forget what happened at Pulse, but also make the world a better place. The first thing you can do is text UNITE to 30644 to join HRC's Mobile Action Network. That way you can keep up to date on everything we should know about to make sure we're involved. One of the biggest things that I got from this trip and from talking to all of these amazing people in Orlando was to never forget the victims, but to also honor them with action and to do something that maybe will make the world better. This week's t-shirt is supporting the Drew Project, which when I first heard about it, I knew I wanted to help in any way I could. So if you get one of those, you are going to be supporting creating safe spaces in GSAs in schools, which I think is an incredible thing. Thank you so much for supporting this video. I love that this channel is a place where we can do dumb, silly, stupid things, but also maybe talk about important things too. If you like that type of stuff, subscribe, and we got a new video coming very soon. That's all. Mwah. Bye, friends.